A reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur, continuing chapter 12, Nityananda Mahima, the glories of Lord Nityananda. Yesterday we left off, all the devotees were dancing in ecstasy, and Gaurahari, after dancing for some time, then he sat down with his associates. He matta sarvadina prabhu nityakari vasilena sarvagan sange Gaurahari. After dancing in this way for the entire day, Gaurahari sat down with his associates. Hatti Tina Talidia Shri Gaurasundar Sabare Kahina Ati Amaya Uttara, clapping his hands 3 times. Teen Tal. Sri Gaurasundar frankly spoke to everyone as follows. So these are the direct words of Lord Chaitanya to summarize the position and glories of Nityananda. Mahaprabhu said, Prabhu Bale, He Nityananda Surupere, Jai Kare Bhakti Shraddha Se Kare Amare, Ihan Charana Shiva Brahmara Bandita, Hateva Ihane Kariya Savaprita, Tilar Deka Ihane Jan Hara Dveshe Rahe, Bhakta Hai Leho Se Amara Priya Nahe. Vishwambar Mahaprabhu said, anyone who keeps faith and engages in the service of Nityananda Sarup actually keeps faith and serves me, Lord Chaitanya. Nityananda's lotus feet are worshipped by Brahma and Shiva. Therefore, all of you should show your love to Lord Nityananda. If a person maintains even a tinge of envy towards him, then he is not dear to me, even if he is a devotee. Santa Saraswati Thakur says, Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Gaurasundar are non-different. Simply by serving the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda, one obtains the fruits of serving Sri Gaurasundar. Text 58. Ihana vatasa lagi bheka jharagai, tahare o Krishna na chadibe sarvatai. Krishna will never leave that person who is touched by the air that has passed by Nityananda's body. This is, Vishwambar is glorifying even the air that passes by the body of Nityananda and by chance touches our body. So the touch of Nityananda's bodily fragrance makes a person's devotional service to Krishna so firm that the worshipful Lord Krishna can never reject him. Shuniya Prabhura Vakya Sarva Bhaktagan Mahajaya Jaya Dwani Karila Takan. After hearing Vishwambar's words, all the devotees immediately chanted, Jai, Jai. Bhakta Kari Jai Shunaye, He Saba Akyan, Dhira Swami Haya Gaura Chandra Bhagavan. Bhagavan Gaura Chandra becomes the master of one who hears these topics with devotion. So, the word here says, Dhira Swami Haya Gaura Chandra Bhagavan. Gaura Chandra Bhagavan. Swami, the word Swami, of course, means master, Lord, master. It also means husband. Jagannath Swami Nayana Padagami Bhavatu. Oh, Jagannath Swami. So he's the master, but Swami also means husband. So Gaurasundar, he's telling, rather, Vrindavan Das Thakur is telling that Gaurachandra becomes the master of one who hears these topics with devotion. So if someone's looking for a Swami, if some single woman is looking for a Swami, means a husband, then look here to the Chaitanya Bhagavat and accept the Gaurachandra as your Swami. He's a Param Swami. Vrindavan Das Thakur says, if we hear these topics of Lord Nityananda with devotion, this Sabakyan Bhakti Kari Shunaye, then our Swami, then Gaurachandra becomes our Swami. And the light of his love will protect our lives, and the light of his love will illuminate our lives. Gaurachandra, the golden light of his divine mercy and compassion, will fully illuminate the life of such a person, and they won't feel the need to have any other type of Swami if they have Gaurachandra, Bhagavan. Nityananda Sarupera Esakal Kata Jayate Kila Etahane Janaye Savata. Vrindavan Das continues, anyone who saw the pastimes of Nityananda Sarup knew his glories in truth. Hemata Kata Nitya Nandera Prabhav Jane Jata Chaitanyera Priya Mahabhag. Only Lord Chaitanya's most fortunate associates know the unlimited influence of Lord Nityananda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chanda Jan Vrindavana Dasatachu Parajugegan. Accepting Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends chapter 12 of Madhyakanda Chaitanya Bhagavat, Nityananda Mahima, the glories of Nityananda. So in our Mayapur class sessions, we finished chapter 11 and chapter 12. This chapter 13, this is a very interesting number, 13. Chapter 13, because in America it doesn't mean much here, but it also means something here in India. 13 is considered an unlucky number. And of course, by numerology, 13 is number 4. 1 and 3, it becomes 4. So 13 means number 4. And 4 is also generally considered somewhat unlucky. 3, 5, 1, 3, 1, 2, okay, good numbers. 3, 5, 7. When people give donations to ISKCON, they give 101, 201, 501, 401? I never heard. 501 or 5,001, but 4,001 rupees? I don't hear such a number. So 4 is not very auspicious. So 13 is considered unlucky. Even it goes to the extent in India, when they have these tall buildings in Delhi and Calcutta and Bombay, they don't have floor 13, is it right? I know in Delhi it's like that. They have floor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, then 14. So floor 13, there is no floor 13. Or the people don't know how to count. They can't count higher than 12. So 13 is a very appropriate place for Vrindavan Das Thakur to place the next akyan, the next discussion, topics. Because chapter 13 is very, of course, meaningful for all of us unlucky, us 13 number wallas. For all of us unlucky, unfortunate residents of Kali Yuga, chapter 13, although it's considered an inauspicious number, is probably the most important chapter of the Chaitanya Bhagavat for most of us. Because the title of this chapter is The Deliverance of Jagai and Madhai. So most of us are coming in the Jagai Madhai Sampradaya. We're duly initiated at the age of 12. When we're 12 years old, we take our Upanayana Samskara, and we enter the Jagai Madhai Sampradaya by drinking our first glass of beer, our first glass of wine, and then we go on to more interesting experiences, various herbs and spices and different kinds of pills and powders and potions. And by the time we're 21 or 25, we've seen it all, we've heard it all, we've done it all, and we've been done too. And we're fully 100% accredited Jagai and Madhais. So Nityananda is extremely merciful to the Jagais and Madhais of the world. As Prabhupada said in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam in the BBT edition, in the first 13 chapters that he purported on, in the first chapters discussing Krishna's Janam, he's talking about King Kansa, the tyrannical, demoniac King Kansa. And he's saying in his purport that the Kamsa class of men, at the present time the world is being ruled by the Kamsa class of men, Kamsagan. So everywhere there are Kamsas. In that time, in Krishna's time, there was King Kamsa in Mathura, and of course he subjugated other nefarious kings like Jarasandha and Shishupal. They weren't that nefarious actually. When you read about the description of Shishupal's kingdom, it was all the Brahmins were being taken care of. It was actually he was the king of Bihar, I believe. Chediraj, king of Chedi, Shishupal. So everything was, Varnashram was fully going on then. But he had one problem, that Shishupal was envious of Krishna. Otherwise, the citizens, the residents and the people that lived in Chedi, in the kingdom of Chediraj, and king of Chedi was present-day Bihar, under the rulership of King Shishupal, they were very happy. They weren't like he wasn't like some South American dictator that the people don't like, and he just steals all the money and enjoys himself and doesn't do anything for the people. He was actually quite good. But his fault was that he was envious. But Kamsa, he collected all these also nefarious kings. He defeated them in battle. He was so powerful. And they became his chum-chums, or his slaves. And so when he ordered them to attack Krishna, they had to follow his order, otherwise he would do away with them. So Kamsa class of men. So as Prabhupada was describing a Kamsa class of leaders and governmental leaders, then the followers of those Kamsa class of men are all of us Jagai and Madhais. I remember in one Vyasa Puja offering, one devotee wrote, he was glorifying Srila Prabhupada. He said, Srila Prabhupada, only you were fearless enough and bold enough and compassionate enough to go into the cities of the world, the dirty, filthy cities like New York City in America, and you rolled up your sleeves. You rolled up your sleeves and you put your hand into the gutter. You put your hand into the drains, the street drains, and the gutter where all the sewage and all the dirt and mud is flowing. And you stuck your hands in there and you pulled us out. With your compassionate, loving hands, you put it into the nali. You put your hand into the nali, which is all ganda, both ganda pani and stool and all these things. And you put your hand in there and you grabbed a few living entities, and when you lifted your hand out of the nali or the gutter, the drain, then we were clinging to your hands. You rescued us. You rescued us from the darkest, most covered state of ignorance. So this is the state of Jagai and Madhai. So this chapter is one of the most exciting and meaningful chapters to most of the people of Kali Yuga, or most of us. The extreme compassion of the Lord, of Lord Nityananda specifically. Remember, the author of this book, Vedavyas Vrindavandas Thakur, his worshipful Lord, of course he worships Lord Chaitanya, the entire Panchatattva, and Bhagavan Sri Krishna. But specifically he is a worshipper of Nityananda. He is Nityananda's worshipper. So he often he brings out the glories of Nityananda. His viewpoint of Lord Gauranga's pastimes is from the viewpoint of Nityananda and his mercy. So this is another chapter which really highlights the glories of course, Lord Chaitanya also, but especially Nityananda, his extreme compassion, or Jagai Madhai, and all of us. Because Nityananda is still coming here. Nityananda is still going to the streets and still picking up the drunkards and still picking up the fallen souls by manifesting in Guru Sarup. Guru is the Nityananda Sarup. He is a form of Nityananda Shakti. And so the Gurus are going into the various cities and places of the world, Calcutta, Delhi, etc. And they are rescuing all the Jagai and Madhais. and delivering them. So the title of this chapter is Deliverance of Jagai and Madhai. And there's the Mangalacharana prayer. Ajanu Lambita Bujo Kanaka Vadato Sankirnaika Pitaro Kamala Yataksho Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yuga Dharma Palo Bande Jagatpriya Karo Karunavataro. It's a very interesting coincidence. We were just, this morning, we were in a yatra. We went to Ambika Kalna to visit the Gauranitai deities of Suryadas Sarakela and his younger brother Gauridas. Gauridas is the brother of Suryadas. And Gauridas's Gauranitai deities, of course, they're famous because they ran off the altar and they went to join the kirtan party. And Gauridas came with a stick to chase them back onto the altar. And seeing the very angry mood of the pujari, Krishna Balaram, or rather Gauranitai, they became frightened. And they were looking for some safe place, for some protection. So as the Lord protects His devotees, the Lord protects the devotees. But the devotees also protect the Lord. Sometimes the Lord is attacked and the devotees lay down their life to protect the Lord or protect the other devotees of the Lord. So in this case, Gauranitai, they were in danger. Their pujari, Gauridas, was chasing them with a stick. They said, we have to go, we have to hide. Nitai, we have to go somewhere fast. So then they thought, well, the best place to go is to hide in the heart of one of our devotees. Surely our devotee will protect us. So there's one devotee that was in that kirtan party, which they were dancing in on the bank of the Ganga. And his name was Chaitanya Das. So Lord Chaitanya said, that's a great idea, Nitai. So then they jumped into the heart of Chaitanya Das. And then when Gauridas came there, he said, hey, where did they go? Where are they? Where are my Gauranitai? The caretaker of the temple said they left the altar and they went down to the Ganga. They were dancing in kirtan. Where are they? I just saw them. Where are they? They had entered the heart of Chaitanya Das, a great devotee. And from that day forward, Chaitanya Das became known as Hridaya Chaitanya. Hridaya Chaitanya Das, that person who captured Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda's heart. And when Gauridas returned to his mandir and he went to the deity room, he saw, there's Gauranitai. I thought I saw them a minute ago on the banks of the Ganga, and now they're in the temple? Oh, what is going on? So then he made his bhog offering. This is Gauridas. And so because he's afraid that Gauranitai may run off the altar again at any moment, then when you go for darshan, they only open the doors for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, close the doors. Kulo band, kulo band, kulo band. They open and close, open and close. Something like Bhakti Bihari in Vrindavan. Same thing there. The Lord sometimes runs behind His devotees and gives a lot of disturbance, agitation to the pujaris. This is love. Love is unpredictable. And the Lord's love for His devotees, you can't bind the Lord inside a temple. You can try to, but love is more powerful than temple walls. Love is more powerful than artik schedules and singhasanas. So the love of the devotee will bring Bhakti Bihari to the banks of the Jamuna. Because one devotee came to see, and the temple was locked, and he went back crying, oh, I wasn't able to see my Lord. So then Bhakti Bihari left the temple before Mangalartik and went to the Jamuna. And he came, and the man was just sitting there on the bank of the Jamuna of the Bhakta, because he was going back to the other side to Bailvan, or Matvan, or Mailvan, I guess. And then he's crying, and then Bhakti Bihari came there and said, oh, he put his hand on the Bhakta's shoulder. Oh, my dear friend, don't cry. Why are you crying? And he said, oh, I went to see my Lord, and I couldn't see Him. The door was closed, it was locked, it was too early, I didn't know what time it was, I don't have a clock, and now I can't see Him, I'm so upset. And he said, no, that's all right, the Lord's very compassionate. And then as that devotee was speaking, his hair started standing on end, and he started trembling, and his heart was beating very fast, and he's thinking, well, who is this? Who is speaking like this, and who has their hand on my shoulder? Then he stopped crying and composed himself. Then he looked, Bhakti Vihari, you've come here to give me your Sakshat Darshan. Oh my Lord, and he collapsed in ecstasy. So then when the pujaris came from Mangalarti, he said, Are? Gokulananda, Yashodananda Vardhana, Mutishta Radhyam, Sadam, Pratirasa, Jagat Pate, ding, 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 ding. Hey, Thakurji kahan? Thakurji kotai? Where's Thakurji? Where's Bhakti Vihari? And they were going with lanterns everywhere. Where? And they found him. What are you doing? And then they thought this person stole the deity. It was a whole big long story. So they opened and closed. And then we went to Suryadas Sarakela, the elder brother. His temple is nearby. He also has Gaur Nitai, but he installed in his temple, Radha Shyamasundara and Ananga Manjari. And his ancestor, his Kuladevata in his family was Radha Madan Mohan. So sometime, they say, actually, the Pujari said before the marriage, but he was worshipping also Gaur Nitai deities, big Nimwat Gaur Nitai deities. And as you know, it was, who was it? Was a matchmaker? Who was it? Anyway, so the matchmaker came there and he said, Suryadas, you should marry your daughter to Nityananda. So Suryadas, he married his daughter Vasudha to Nityananda. And there's a tree there, and there's the Vivahastan, the marriage place where the marriage was conducted. There's a tree there and there's a platform, a small mandir commemorating that. It's a very auspicious place. So when the marriage is going on, Vasudha and Nityananda, Vasudha of course is Revati and Krishna Leela, Revati and sometimes Varuni they say also. So then they were giving gifts. Suryadas was giving gifts to Nitai on the occasion of the wedding. So he's giving some gold and bangles and silk saris. And then he took his other daughter's hand, he took Janava's hand, and he said, listen, why don't you take her also? Why don't you take my younger daughter, the younger sister of Vasudha? Why don't you take her as part of the Dan? So Nityananda didn't actually marry Janava, but this is what they tell. He took her as donation. He actually married Vasudha, and then her younger sister, she was thrown in the deal. She was given as a charity with gold and saris, and take my other daughter also. They told like this. A very, very beautiful temple. So when we were there at the temple, then I was asking this devotee, Damodar, I said, is there a nice pranam prayer? Is there a nice pranam prayer to Lord Nityananda? And to Lord Chaitanya? And he said, yes. And then we were singing some bhajans, and then the pujari said, do you know this prayer? And he said, Ajanu Lambita Bhajja, this very same prayer, this prayer that we just recited, which is the Mangalacharana for chapter 13, Deliverance of Jaga and Madhe, this very same prayer we just heard a few hours ago by the descendant, this Chandrakant Goswami, the pujari, he claims that he's a descendant of the father-in-law of Lord Nityananda. He's a descendant of Suryadas Sarakela, right? That's what he said. So he was reciting this very prayer in glorification. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Ajanu Lambita Bhujo, whose arms extend down to their knees, who have golden complexions, Kanakavadato, and who are inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Their eyes resemble the petals of a lotus flower, Kamala Taksho. Gaur Nitai are the maintainers of all living entities, Vishwambaro, the best of the Brahmins, Dvijavaro, the protectors of religious principles for this age, Yugadharma Palo, the benefactors of the universe, Jagat Priya Karo, and the most merciful of all incarnations, Karuna Avataro. That's a very beautiful prayer, pranam prayer to Gaur Nitai, to describe their contribution, their compassion, their identity, and their transcendental beauty of their transcendental forms. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu, Shri Gaura Sundar, Jaya Nityananda Sarva Sevya Kalevar. All glories to Mahaprabhu Sri Gaura Sundar. All glories to Nityananda, who is the object of everyone's worship. Hina Mate Navadvipe, Prabhu Vishwambar, Krita Kare Nahi Sarva, Nayana Gochar. In this way, Vishwambar performed pastimes in Navadvip that were not seen by everyone. Because without love of God, one cannot actually see the true pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Loke deki purvajena, nimani pandita, atirikta arakichu, na deke charita. Ordinary people saw Chaitanya, saw him like before. They saw him as Nimai Pandit. They could not see anything of his characteristics beyond this. Jakkan pravishta haya, sevakera mele, jakkana pasina se, matakutukale. When Vishwambar entered into the association of his servants, he floated in happiness. Karajena bhagyatena, tahare dekai, bahira haila saba, apana lukai. Vishwambar would reveal himself to each devotee in proportion to the devotee's good fortune. When Vishwambar left their association, he would conceal himself. Purport. Siddhanta Saraswati. Since the Absolute Truth is omnipotent, the living entities, who are fragmental spiritual parts and parcels, see the Lord according to their respective devotional qualifications. There is no possibility of seeing the personification of all love through vision that is based on external knowledge. Rather, the Lord remains hidden. That is why he is called in the Shastras Adhokshaja, which means he who is beyond the perception of material senses. Ekdina achambite hailahena mati agya kaila nityananda haridasa prati. One day Lord Vishwambar suddenly ordered Nityananda and Haridas as follows. So this is the this is the order. This is the Mahaprabhu Agya, Prabhu Datta Desh. We have this concept, Prabhu Datta Desh, that my Prabhu, my Guru Prabhu, my Master, Sri Guru, he gives me a particular order, Guru Agya, Prabhu Datta Desh. Means the place, the desh, the land, the country, the kshetra, given by my Guru, Prabhu Datta Desh. He says, I want you to stay in Mayapur and preach, or I want you to stay in Mayapur and do deity worship. So then Mayapur becomes your Datta Desh, becomes your place of seva, ordered by your Guru. Or he may say, stay in Russia, distribute books, raise your family, go to the farm project in Australia, or whatever he may say. So this is Prabhu Datta Desh. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is giving his Agya, Mahaprabhu Agya. Who is he ordering? He's ordering two of his great servants, Lord Nityananda and Haridas. So, what is the order that Lord Chaitanya gave to them? Shuna Shuna Nityananda, Shuna Haridas, Sarvatra Amara Agya, Karaha Prakash. Mahaprabhu said, listen Nityananda and Haridas, go out and preach my order everywhere, Sarvatra Amara Agya, Karaha Prakash. Pratigare Ghare Gya, Kara E Bhiksha, Bala Krishna Bhaja Krishna, Kara Krishna Shiksha. So this is, Mahaprabhu tells Haridas and Nityananda, go pratigare, pratipadam, we say in Shikshastakam, sarvatma snapanam, pratipadam purnamrita swadanam, right? Pratipada means step after step. Pratipad. Step after step, we taste the fullest, most satisfying nectar by being absorbed in Nam Sankirtan. Pratigari gari gya kara e bhiksha. Go to every house and beg. Beg for money? No. Beg that they become life members? No. Beg that they give a donation for the new temple? No. What is a bhiksha? Very extraordinary bhiksha, and people were most surprised when they came. Because they weren't asking for money, they weren't asking for property, they weren't asking for moral or legal support. What were they asking? They were asking, chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and follow Krishna's instructions. Bhalo Krishna, bhaja Krishna, kara Krishna shiksha. So this is a very interesting type of bhikshu. Just begging them to chant the holy name of the Lord. And there's a very long purport just describing this, which is also told in the following text. Now Lord Chaitanya goes on. Iha bhai ara na bhaliba bhai bhalaiba dinavasane asi amare kahiba. Mahaprabhu said to Nitai and Haridas, apart from this, you should not speak or have others speak anything else. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. So their preaching was quite short, eloquent. Krishnadas Kaviraj, he defines the word eloquent. Eloquent means essential truth spoken concisely, which is also a very eloquent definition of eloquence. Essential truth spoken concisely. So this is the essential truth. Chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and follow his teachings. What more? Is anything more required? There's 18,000 shlokas in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's 700 shlokas in the Gita Upanishad, in Bhagavad Gita. But here there's just 3, how many? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 words. Balo, Bhaja, Kara, Shiksha. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Right? Chant Krishna's name, Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow Krishna's teachings, Krishna Shiksha. Kara, do. Kara Shiksha, do his teachings, follow his teachings. That's everything. Because what are Krishna's teachings? The ultimate teaching of Bhagavad Gita is Prem Dharma. Manamanabhava madbhakta madhyajiman namaskuru. Love me, worship me, serve me. So Lord Chaitanya, in a very eloquent way, is giving the essence of all instructions. He's giving the essence of aesthetic Vedanta, of the Gaudiya Vedanta. Now he's saying, don't say anything else. Apart from this, apart from these 3 small phrases that I've told you, don't speak anything else. And don't have anybody else speak anything else. At the end of the day, give me your report. So Lord Chaitanya, in other words, if someone is what they call a Sankirtan leader, we have this concept in ISKCON, the Sankirtan leader. Have you heard this concept? Sankirtan leader? Or the van leader, the Sankirtan leader. So the first Sankirtan leader is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his Sankirtan party is the very first Sankirtan party is Haridas and Nitai. The invincible duo. Who could defeat them? And he wants the report. There must be the results, Sankirtan result. You go out on Sankirtan, at the end of the day you have to write on a piece of paper. So many Maha books, so many big books, so many magazines, so many small books, so much money collected, then you write your name on it, write the date, then you put it in a plastic bag and you tie it up and you put it in a treasury office. I remember we used to do this like 33 years ago. Go to the airport all day and then write on a piece of paper so many books, put it in the plastic bag, we had to count the money ourselves also, count all the money, then a little slit like this, like a post office box, put it in the treasury, dong. Next day the treasurer would count everything and then enter it. So we had to give our report, give her the results. Then at the end of the week they would read the Sankirtan results. So-and-so das, so many Mahabig books, like today, Sankirtan results. So the same thing is going on. This is very authorized. Prabhupada's book distribution, BBT book distribution movement with book distributors and daily reports and going out in teams, Sankirtan teams. It started right here, right in Navadvip, in Mayapur, 520 years ago. So now, what does he say? Lord Chaitanya says, this is the purport by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, which is very inspiring to all the active preachers of the Lord who are out in the field preaching. And comment on this, chapter 13, text 10. To chant the holy names of Krishna, to serve Krishna by engaging in kirtan, and to become educated in Krishna Shiksha by being inclined towards service. These are the only duties of the living entities. You should not beg anyone for anything other than to engage in these three activities. And you should not teach anyone any other subject. For the benefit of all living entities, you should, throughout the day, beg for the alms that I have described to you. And in the evening, you should report to me. I will be greatly pleased if I know that you are trying to benefit all living entities. This is my mission. You are like my right and left hands. So this is Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are the right and left hands of Mahaprabhu. Because with their hands they're giving the teachings, they're giving the mercy. So the book distributors with their hands, because usually we distribute Sankirtan is done with the hands, isn't it? We play mridanga with the hands, not the feet. I mean, we're not monkeys. Monkeys have 4 hands. Right? The monkeys' feet look like hands, so they can play mridanga with their feet. We play mridanga with our hands. We play kartals with our hands. We distribute books with our hands. Kartal, right? Karatal. This we say kartal, but kara means hands and tal means beat. So keeping the beat with the hands, karatali. This word karatali means, kara means hand, and tala means beat. Ek tal, dui tal, teen tal. So this, when the symbols were made, then the beat was kept with this. These are called kartals. But before these existed. These are kara. This is kara. This is kartals. Kartal. This is kartal. This is kartal. Kartali. So hands we play in kirtan, and hands we distribute books. So the hands of the Sankirtan devotees are the right and left hands of Gaurachandra, Gaurasundar. Very interesting meditation. Very inspiring meditation to think. Because I know in America was the technique back in the 70s when we were at the airport, we were distributing mostly to businessmen, because mostly men are flying businessmen. And they're more of a challenge to distribute books to, because you have to really convince them. And we wouldn't so much go to ladies, we would go to businessmen or maybe couples. And the big technique was to welcome everyone to Los Angeles. Welcome to Los Angeles with a handshake. So I like make friends. It's a Western way of making friends, handshake. And people feel relaxed. Of course you have to take their karma. When you touch someone's body, you take their karma. So the Sankirtan devotees were very merciful, shaking hands with 300 or 400 people a day, men, and giving them bhagavatams, and then shaking hands with their wallets, taking their money. So the point is that they're shaking hands with Lord Chaitanya. The right and left hands of Lord Chaitanya are Nityananda and Haridas. So the hands of the Sankirtan devotees that are distributing books, those hands are Lord Chaitanya's hands. And when they're shaking hands of a Sankirtan devotee, they're actually shaking hands with the representative of Lord Chaitanya. Sakshat Chaitanya, the representative. So it's like they're shaking hands with God, or God's representative. So it's a very interesting concept that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he is paraphrasing this verse by saying that in his own samadhi, he's seeing that Lord Chaitanya is saying this, yes, Haridas, you're like my right and left hands. Come and give me the report. Text 11. Tomara karila bhiksha, jena baliba, tabeyami chakra haste, sabare katiba. Mahaprabhu said to Nityananda and Haridas, I will pick up my chakra and cut off the heads of those who will not chant after being requested by you. Now that's a pretty conclusive preaching. My dear sir, Bhajo Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Kara Krishna Shiksha. And so then Lord Chaitanya says, and when you tell them this, anyone that doesn't chant my name, then I will be right behind you and I will give them the chakra. Do or die. It's called do or die. Do it. Like we have the phrase, they have this old phrase, do it now or do it. Just do it. If it feels good, do it. Chant, do it, do or die. Chant or die. This is a very good proposal. We could eliminate a lot of anti-parties or rival parties this way. So, Siddhanta Saraswati is getting quite excited. He wants to make he makes a nice purport here. He's paraphrasing the Lord by saying, I will destroy that person who becomes inimical to your request for alms by giving him unlimited misery. End of the quote. Now it's Tika. Many people contemplate as follows. Being most merciful, why has God created the cruel misfortunes in this world? The appropriate answer to such a question is Brahma's verse. Tateno kampam shushimikshyamano bunjane vatmana kritam vipakam rijbhagva pubir vedadan namaste jiveti yomukti pade sadayabak kritam vipakam. The answer is, my dear friend, God is merciful. Yes, He's merciful, He's very compassionate, but you're not. You're not. You're not merciful to yourself. So in your last life you did all the wrong things, did all sinful things. You didn't listen to God. God is merciful, and His mercy is that He gives Shastra and laws and Manu Samhita. And if you were intelligent, you would have taken advantage of His mercy in last life by reading His words and following His teachings and instructions, and then you wouldn't have committed so many sins, kritam vipakam. And you would have lived a God-centered life, a godly life, and you wouldn't be suffering now. Rather, you would be enjoying the fruits of your punya and sukriti fal, janmaishvarya shuta shibir. But, my dear sir, unfortunately, yes, you're right, God is very loving and compassionate, but you don't love yourself. You're not compassionate to yourself. So you didn't take advantage of the Lord's compassion and love. He was lovingly presenting the Shastra and lovingly presenting His teachers and compassionately sending His representatives. Listen to me, live like this. And you said, no man, boogie, enjoy, eat, drink and be merry, for tomorrow you die. There's no God, there's no such thing as God. You live and you die. There's no future. Enjoy to the hilt. Enjoy like no end. Life is but a dream, merrily, merrily, right? So, this is the answer. We are the architect of our own destiny. So he's saying, this is the point. If a living entity who is averse to Krishna spends his days in material endeavors, then in accordance with the laws of the material world, he will achieve his just deserts. Agya shuni hasse sava vaishnava mandal, anyata karite agya kara acche bhal. On hearing the order of Vishwambar, all the Vaishnavas laughed. That's interesting sense of humor. Who has the power to transgress his order? Vaishnava Mandala. Sometimes it's Bhaktagan, Bhakta Mandala. Here is Vaishnava Mandala. Vaishnava Mandala. They laughed. Agya Shuni Hase Saba. When they heard Lord Chaitanya's order, oh, this is very funny. I don't know. I don't think it's so funny myself. But some of the Vaishnava Mandal of 500 years ago, when they heard Lord Chaitanya's order to Nityananda and Haridas, and his follow-up that if someone doesn't accept your teaching, your bhikshu, then I will use my chakra and cut off their heads. That's very funny. That's very funny. We're going to cut off their heads. So, all right. That's funny, then very good. Just don't be at the other end of the chakra. Won't be so funny for you. Hena agya jaha nityananda shire wahe, itte apratita jara se subudhi nahe. Vishwambar's order was such that even Nityananda carries that order on his head. Anyone who does not believe this is not very intelligent. Kara ye advaita seva, Chaitanya na mane, advaita tahare samharibe bhalamane. If one serves Advaita but does not accept Chaitanya, then Advaita will destroy him without remorse. Agya shire kare Nityananda Haridas, tattakshane chalilena patte asihas. Accepting Vishwambar's order on their heads, Nityananda and Haridas smiled and immediately went out on the street. So that's first-class servant. As soon as they got the order, they smiled. They were happy to get the order, not like, oh. Sometimes the disciple gets an order from the Guru Agya, order, command, request, and then he cringes. Ooh, I have to go to Calcutta and do life membership to collect funds for the Mayapur temple. Oh, I have to leave Mayapur? No more pizza? No more cakes? Oh, this is going to be very austere in Calcutta. He cringes, oh no. But they were smiling, hase. Prabhu Agya hase. They were smiling, oh, this is very nice. You've given us a wonderful order. Bhajo Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Kara Krishna Shiksha. And of course we hear there's some discussion that it's described that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's telling now, when you go and give this order to chant my name, Krishna's name, and to worship Krishna, and to follow Krishna's teachings in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja, etc. Then, if people don't follow, then I will cut their head off with my chakra. So Nityananda is very, very compassionate. He's thinking, well, Mahaprabhu said that I should tell them to chant Krishna's name and to worship Krishna. And if they don't chant Krishna's name, then my Gauranga, he will be there with his chakra and he'll cut their head off. So therefore, I won't tell them to chant Krishna's name. I will tell them, Bhaja Gauranga, Loha Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga Namare, right? So Nityananda is thinking, because Gauranga didn't say that if they don't chant Gauranga's name that I'll cut off their heads. Gauranga said if they don't chant Krishna's name I'll cut off their heads. So therefore when Nityananda went preaching he said, please chant Gauranga! Please worship Gauranga! Please carry out the orders of Gauranga! Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam, Kaloanasteva Gatiranyata, Kirtaniya Sada, Hari. This is the order of Gauranga. So Nityananda is very, very, the preacher has to be very, very clever. Prabhupada said when you're in a society of cheaters and cheated, you have to be even a bigger cheater. Now, be careful of that. Don't cheat on your taxes and don't cheat on your electric bill and don't cheat on your husband, and don't cheat on your wife. But it can say in terms of they're cleverly trying to cheat and avoid Krishna. So you have to be very clever to come up with good lines and good phrases to catch them in book distribution. You give someone a book, you give them Bhagavad Gita. You say, no, I don't read. And then if you're not clever, if you're not a good cheater or very smart, okay. But if you're smart, you're on your toes, you say, no, 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 you're just the person I was looking for. We're supposed to give these books to people that don't read. My name's Joe, what's yours? I'm so happy to meet you. It's very hard to meet people here that don't read. Because in this airport, everyone's educated and they're highly cultured and they usually read. Oh, sir, I'm so happy to meet you. I'm glad you don't read. Now, please take this book with you. Just keep it in your house. It's like a good luck charm. It just radiates peace. It radiates good vibration. Huh? What? What do you... Anyway, have a nice day. Oh, by the way, it's a donation. It's only $10. And the guy is so much vimohan. He's so bewildered by your lines and your charm that okay, here's $10. So in one sense it's cheating. He says, I don't read. Because he's also cheating. If he doesn't read, how does he find his way around the airport? Terminal 1, Terminal 2, Indigo Air, Spice Airline, if he doesn't read, the guy's lying, he's cheating. Okay, you're cheating. Oh, you're cheating? Oh, you think you can cheat me? Watch out, Buster. I'm not the #1 Sankirtan devotee for nothing. And then you have to be a good card player. So this is the thing, Nityananda is very clever. He's a very clever preacher. Acha, Gauranga is going to cut. Well, if I follow Gauranga's words, then everyone in Navadvip is going to get their head cut off. Because everyone in Navadvip is a Shakta, and everyone in Navadvip is a Pashandi and a Nastik and a Devata worshipper. So when I tell them, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, they'll say, forget it. Ma Durga Ki, Jai, Jai Mata Di. They will not say Krishna. Hey, Jao. Hey, you bhikshus, Jao. I'll call the police. Ma, oh ma. And almost contaminated our house coming in here with this bhajo, this, bolo, that. Jai ma. So then, if Nitai and Haridas were asking all these Shaktas and Gyanis and all these people and to chant Krishna's name, then Chaitanya Gauranga would be coming behind them, zoom, just cutting heads off like Parasaram. He'd be going like Parashuram, chopping heads off all over Navadvip. Instead of goats' heads falling everywhere, it'd be people's heads. Now you see the goats' heads flying everywhere. So Nityananda is very clever. Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Loho Gauranga, Namare. This we'll hear later. So they hit the streets. Nitai and Haridas. Krishna Prana, Krishna Dana, Krishna Se Jivan, Hena Krishna Bhalo Bhai, Hai Ekaman. It sounds like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, right? Shadavan Janahe, Shadavan Janahe, Shadavan Janahe, Shadavan Janahe. Then he says, what does he say? Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadan. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadan. O men of faith, all those who possess a drop of faith, Shadavan Janahe. O people with faith, if you have some faith, then you should understand absolutely, unequivocally, Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, Krishna is the wealth of your life. What more? Or kuchne? Kichune, kichunoi, what do you need? You don't need anything. So then what are they saying? That's what they're saying. They guys like it. They say these lizards, they're Brahmins in their last life. When they make some noise, it means they like what they heard. They're ha ha ha, chop 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 chop. So I skipped a verse actually. Text 16. Agyapai dui jane bule gare gare, Bala Krishna, Ghao Krishna, Bhajaha Krishnere. Being ordered by Lord Vishwambar, Haridas and Nitai went door to door. They requested everyone to chant the name of Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna, engage in the worship of Krishna. Of course, we also know that Nitai changed that to Gauranga. Then they said, Krishna Pran, Krishna Dan, Krishna Sejivan. Krishna is your life, Krishna is your wealth, Krishna is your very life and soul. Oh bhai, oh brothers, chant the name of that Krishna with full attention. Oh, a very beautiful purport. Krishna alone is the original living force. Inclination towards Krishna is a symptom of Krishna conscious life. Living entities who are averse to Krishna are devoid of life. Objects that are not related to Krishna are worthless. Krishna alone bestows all perfection. Aversion to Krishna is proof of one's material conditioning and lifelessness. Objects that are not related to Krishna are decorated by the prowess of the illusory energy. Very nice. He matta nadi jaya pratigari gari buliya vedhana dui jagat ishvare. In this way, the two controllers of the universe went to every house as they wandered throughout Nadia. That's very interesting. The two controllers of the universe, Dui Jagat Ishvare. Dui Jagat Ishvare. Who are the two controllers of the universe? Nityananda and Haridas. Because Haridas is distributing devotion all over the universe. And that Shakti, that power of devotion is coming from Nityananda. The distributor of... Excuse me, I made the wrong point. I'm just saying that he's saying there are two controllers of the universe. I was thinking of Srivas as Narada Muni, but it's Haridas. So Haridas, he says there are two controllers, and Siddhanta Saraswati says, they are both controllers. People of this world accept wrong paths and fall into calamities. These two lords, Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu, provide auspiciousness to misguided people by becoming their guides, their mentors, their teachers. Haridas is the teacher, Namacharya, and Nityananda is the Adiguru. Protecting the living entities from prajalpa and engaging their speech in the service of the Lord, the expert guide, Haridas Thakur, helps them control their sinful minds and invite the favorable flow of thoughts in order to protect their body and limbs from aversion to the worship of Krishna, and thus delivers them from their bodily hardships. Now this is a very wonderful revelation from the heart of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Nityananda, Lord Nityananda, removes the unhappiness of this world and merges the living entities in eternal bliss. So, it sounds, as we'll repeat it because it's so beautifully presented by Param Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, but he's saying these are Dui Jagat Ishvara, Dui Jagat Ishvare, Haridas Thakur and Nityananda. And as two controllers of this entire universe, which means every living entity in the universe, they have two independent, let's say two interdependent functions. They're both controlling on different levels. One's controlling the aspect of prayojana, the ultimate necessity, Anandamaya Vyasat, to be merged and floating in bliss. We are pleasure seekers by nature. Every living entity is motivated by the desire for happiness, searching for happiness. Beauty, love, charm, and happiness is way beyond power. People want power, but actually, ultimately, people want beauty and love, happiness. Beauty and love give the greatest happiness, more than any happiness derived by power or position. Power and position gives some limited happiness, but it's incomparable with the happiness derived by beauty and love. So Krishna is a personification of beauty and love. So Krishna, and Krishna's direct expansion, Balaram and Nityananda, he's Nityananda. So he's the controller of the prayojana. He's making all the living entities blissful. And this is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is saying. He's controlling in this way. How is Nityananda controlling the universe? First, before we can be blissful, in other words, before we can be healthy, we have to remove our disease. If we're diseased, we cannot be healthy. Remove the disease, experience the flow of health, the joy of healthy existence. So first, Nityananda removes the unhappiness. This is one of the symptoms of bhakti. And bhakti is kleshagni and shubhada. These are the first two symptoms, the characteristics of bhakti, are Shubhada and Kleshagni, destroyer of the kleshas, and Shubhada, creating auspiciousness. So Nityananda, ultimately, of course he's doing that by his propagation of the tattvas and his mercy, but ultimately he's merging the living entities in eternal bliss, Nityananda. He's Nityananda, and he's the controller of Nityananda. He's the controller of eternal bliss. And his role, his function, his duty through him as himself and as his expanded representatives, the spiritual masters, the gurus, the Vaishnava gurus, Gaudiya Vaishnava gurus, they are all emissaries of eternal bliss. They are ambassadors of eternal happiness. So they are traveling throughout the world and throughout the universe to submerge everyone in eternal bliss. Now Haridas, he's acting in the role of Sambandha and Avideya as a controller of these two functions. Because we want to establish relationship with Krishna and practice devotional service, we have to control our minds. So Haridas is the expert guide because he helps us control our mind, control our sinful minds. Then Haridas, he helps create a flow of positive thoughts. He invites the favorable flow of thoughts in order to protect the body and limbs from aversion to the worship of Krishna and delivers them from their bodily hardships. So Haridas, by Namacharya, by giving us the name, we serve the name, then that's the first service to Krishna. We begin serving Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. So the sinful mind with the sinful inclination and the sinful propensity, when we hear the Mahamantra and we chant the Mahamantra, then the flow of our thoughts goes away from sin and towards Krishna. And when the flow of our thoughts moves towards Krishna, it manifests in the form of service. So that's Abhideya, the service. So Haridas Thakur is establishing us in our relationship, Sambandha, with Krishna, which is a service relationship. Jivara Surapaya Krishna Nityadas. And that service will reach its perfection in eternal bliss, Premananda. Ananta, Premananda, Nityananda. And Nityananda will bring us, by his mercy, we'll come to the perfection of realizing our loving relationship with the Lord. Because as we mentioned, Dhira Damodara Goswami says in his diary that Nityananda is the Prema Shraya. He is the Prema Shraya, Gadadhar Pandit is the Bhava Shraya, and Mahaprabhu is the Rasa Shraya, Rasaraj Mahaprabhu. So here Nityananda is functioning as Prayojana Charya, Prayojana Tattva in this relationship with these two. As commenting on this verse, Dui Jagat Ishvare. These are the two controllers of the universe, Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. A very wonderful purport to explain. Because if we just read the verse, to say, Nadia Pratigari Gari, Bulia Vedana Dui Jagat Ishvara. The two controllers of the universe went to every house as they wandered throughout Nadia. So now, these two controllers of the universe have entered into our house. They've come into our house. Haridas Thakur has come into our house as the Namacharya, the house of our body. This body is also a house. The bird, the soul is living on the tree of this body, right? The bird of the soul. So this house is a tree. This body is like a house. So Haridas is there in the form of the holy name. Nityananda is there in the form of Guru. Guru Mukha Padmavakya. The Guru's order is our life and soul. So now our lives will become auspicious, our sinful minds are turning towards Krishna, and we will someday, by the mercy of Nityananda and the holy name, come to the realm of eternal bliss. Prem Dham Vrindavan, Prem Dham Navadvip. Sridham Mayapur, Sridham Vrindavan. We say Prem Dham Vrindavan. So this is the end of today's class, and by the mercy of Nityananda we can discuss more tomorrow. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. By Sri Vedavyas Vrindavan Das Thakur, Chapter 13, Deliverance of Jughai and Mudhai. And yesterday we heard how Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda were wandering throughout Nadia, preaching to everyone. Bhalo Krishna, Kao Krishna, Vajaha Krishna Re. To worship Krishna, chant Krishna's name and sing His glories. Vrindavan Das Thakur described them as Dui Jagat Ishvare, that they're Haridas and Nityananda are Dui Jagat Ishvare. They are two controllers of the universe. One is controlling the living entities by controlling their mind. Haridas Thakur controls the mind of living entities by blessing them with the holy name. When one takes up the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, then the sinful propensities of his mind, they go away. And then his mind turns towards and becomes inclined towards the service of Lord. So that's the effect or the influence of the control of Haridas Thakur. Nityananda, he is also the second controller because he drives away, by his power he drives away unhappiness from the heart and fills the heart with unlimited bliss, which is the prayojan of Premananda, which is the ultimate fruit of devotional service, which is awarded by Nityananda and his immediate representative, Sri Guru. This is chapter 13, text 19 through 20. Johana sannyasi vesh jana jara gare hatte vyatyasi bhiksha nimantrana kare Nityananda Haridasa bale e bhiksha bala Krishna bhaja Krishna kara Krishna shiksha. Nityananda and Haridas Thakur were dressed as sannyasis, sannyasi vesh. At every house they went, they were eagerly invited to take their meal. Because generally when some uninvited guests show up at the house of a grihastha, they're considered to be Atiti Narayan. Or in this case, since there's two of them, Nitai and Haridas, they may be considered as Nara-Narayan. So people will treat them very cordially and very respectfully. Such a guest or guest, and one of the primary activities of grihasthas is to distribute food, to give in charity, especially food, to any guests. Hospitality and giving in charity are the two primary activities of those in the grihastha ashram. So responding appropriately according to the rules and regulations of cultured society, every house that Nitai and Haridas went to, they invited them in for prasadam. Please come take prasadam. But they were going to many houses in one day. And how much prasadam can you eat in one day? Especially if you're sannyasis. Sannyasi vesh. They're dressed as sannyasis. And obviously they were in full control of their senses. So they didn't ask They didn't take any food, and they didn't ask for any food. They said, yes, we want bhikshu, we want charity, but we don't want to accept your hospitality in the form of foodstuffs, nor do we request charity in the form of money or cloth, silk cloth or money or some other gift, shoes or umbrellas. These are some of the preferred gifts to give in charity to mendicants. They said, our only bhikshu is that we request you to chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow the teachings of Krishna. Wherever they went, they did not accept anything. Rather, as ordered by the Lord, they simply requested everyone to chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow the instructions of Krishna. So they were not preaching to make a profit. They're not preaching to fill their bellies. They were simply preaching to give mercy. Parama udara, welfare work. And they were simply giving appropriate teachings, shikshamrita, and giving mercy to the conditioned souls. Because the only solution to the problems everyone faces is to worship Krishna and chant His holy name, follow His teachings. So they're mercifully going from door to door. God became a beggar. Lakshminath, the Lord, the Master, the Swami of Lakshmi Devi, He became a beggar out of His infinite love and compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Just see the merciful expression of the Divine Lord. He goes from house to house, door to door. Now remember, people 500 years ago, it's pretty much like today. Maybe not so bad, but 500 years ago, people in Navadvip and Mayapur, they were eating fish as they're eating today. And they're eating chicken as they're eating today. And they're eating goats as they're eating today. Kali Prasad. And as you know, when these substances are cooked inside a house, if you're a sattvic person or following the path of purified life, yoga and sattvic ahara, sattvic vichar, and pure life, then when you smell burning goat flesh and burning chicken flesh, it stinks. It's most abominable, horrible, repulsive. And this is what you face, because any devotee who's been a Sankirtan devotee or possibly visited some Mlecha Yavana relatives, then you can experience what this smells like. Having been a Sankirtan devotee and going door to door, until they open the door, it's fine. You're walking down the hallway, and hallways also stink, but not so bad. Then when they open the door, you ring the doorbell and they say, oh, what do you have? I say, oh, these are some new books from the publisher that have just been released in this neighborhood. Whatever, you have special lines, They get inside the house. This is a very special distribution. We're showing these books to people in this neighborhood and get some feedback. Are you selling books? No, we're not selling. We just want to show them to you and get your response. Oh, okay, as long as you're not selling. No, we're not selling. And then come into the house. And then you go in that house and it's, so much. Practically you faint. Between the dog, the smell of the dog sitting on the couch, and then the burning chicken inside the kitchen. Somehow you tolerate it all because you want to give them mercy. Vaishnava Kripam Buddhi. The Vaishnava is an ocean of Kripam Buddhi, of mercy. And on Guru's order and on our own inspiration and surrender, in a mood of sacrifice and surrender and dedication, we're going relentlessly house to house, door to door. So this is Nityananda, Lord Nityananda Balaram, who's wearing Vaijayanti Mala and beautiful forest garlands and anointed with chandan on his limbs and kasturi musk and camphor, and his body is so beautifully fragrant and so attractive, and he smells so wonderfully. He's entering the houses of the Bengalis 500 years ago. Not to speak of fish and chicken and goats, but let's not forget garlic and onions. And generally when people cook fish and goat and chicken, then garlic and onions are a part of the program. And wow. So of course we don't hear any description of this. This is what we call reading between the lines. There's the lines of the Shastra, then there's the between the lines, what's the actual setting and scene? If the author is not depicting it, then he leaves it to the discretion of the reader to fill in the details, depending on his familiarity with the historical setting. So they tolerated everything. Tamsatiksha Shvakar, what is it? Bharata. And Kapila Muni, we're in third canto now. Kapila Muni will start instructing his mother, Devahuti, and all of us. So she asks Kapila Muni, what are the symptoms of a saintly person? Tatikshva Kurunika Surida Savadehana. He says a saintly person is Tatikshva. This is the first quality. He's very tolerant, Tatikshva, Karunika, and compassionate, merciful. Suridam Sarvadehina. He's a very heartly friend, Suridam. He feels that the sadhu, Vaishnava preacher, he feels the heart of the conditioned soul to be his own heart. As they say in English, my heart bleeds for you. This is an exaggerated statement, but it really finds its fullest meaning in the activities of the compassionate preacher, Tatikshva Karunika. Surida Sarvadehanam, he's so much friendly, Surit, to all the conditioned souls, Sarvadehina. Sarvadehina. It's very interesting, Kapila is saying that he's a friend. He doesn't say Sarva Manushya, or Sarva Bhuta. He says he's a friend, Suridam Sarvadehina. He's a friend to any jiva who has a body. There's Atma and Deha, Atma and Sharir, soul and body, a body and a soul. So he's friendly, and very friendly, Suridam, Suridhi, good-hearted. He's good-hearted, he's a good-hearted person. He's in the heart, he feels the hearts of others to be his own heart. He feels their suffering. For all the living entities, for the cockroaches, for the ants, for the birds, for the human beings, for the fish. This is the real characteristics of a saintly Vaishnava. As Prabhupada often said, there can't be any unity of man or brotherhood of man or women or whatever, unless we actually have a common father. If we recognize and accept the common father, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and awaken and direct and express our love toward him, and it's very easy to express our love towards all the other family members who are sheltered under the mercy of the Universal Father, Sri Krishna. So this is divine brotherhood. Brother cat, brother bird, brother tree, Sarvadehinam. So he distributes. You see in Vrindavan,
Last one I tried to talk about one class. Last. Yes, it's last.
Yesterday, he did not talk to me. I lost time. From last time, I have the opposite. I'm not doing this, yeah, but I need to, but then.
In case you like definitely soup, yeah, because you like sick, the boil and water, she knows how to do. You explain with it. You can pay and safety. She don't go for and he told she needed food. She can make it to the credit. You don't give and you come back from that. If you do, then it's okay. If you don't go to this, you can take percent.
Don't see, so.
Ah, okay.
I will be around. Definitely. Well, I really only have to call you. But after that.
After you go, yes,
And what did you say? You know,
so after that you can take a start. Today you take some soup or sauce vegetable and just your regular uses.
Thank you.
And then tomorrow you can take today I told you just give some vegetable and soup and just not we have minutes. The works in area. Disturb you or
So is it just very good and go? Sorry. Very, I would feel it, but not very much. Yeah, it's really funny to see. Anything that
I think because this I was telling you in temple we some of our devotees are liver cleansing. It's just one day thing. One day juice and night is something like evening, something like a fish cream. With fruit juice, it's only one in front some sort. So usually who are clean like habits are simple. Like they don't eat like not good. They don't eat like junk food. They had no much. They go to the death, but those who have habit of staying food in childhood or that, they are like black stones. They are surprised. What is this? Some of them, after coming into soil, they're this like location chiraja, but for that they had the other habits. All that came with like black stones, small, big. So because you're already you're hardly eating and you eat.
my eating habit cannot change because I'm not the one doing it. See it's going down now, not increasing.
I'm telling you now.
You're not you. You are saying
Ah.
this and eat.
So,
Not detecting. I'm just doing it. If I need to see.
and this juices
Sometimes it's something like that. They are taking more than what I'm asked to do.
and if you try this juices, maybe 2 3 days you try the juices and some sweet, and you see if you feel dizziness, then you can eat sometime.
You use our drink with
Really nice. And dates and nuts, that is the suffering if something is missing from the juice, you can make something.
it should be happening because it's really deep right. So that makes me
Then today, tomorrow, Anthony, in general, if you want to make yourself some light, the juices and some sweet, and after that, when you want to take soup or some vegetable.
yes, I think after the class, things you say
You will take soup and then say, get soup.
because
Check the from Jananda, what exactly was.
what are you no, after when you dry, you drain the seed. This I know like you drain the seed. Yeah, my seed is tight. So when you dry, you said drain it. I feel uncomfortable. The culture where they which way the master this discussion goes.
That one day you didn't, then after 2 days again you didn't deny, so I thought maybe that for 2 days you
I didn't understand. I was saying no.
I did. Those 2 days I didn't put, after 2 days again I thought let me temporarily.
We feel that it's okay. We need that.
The ice cream I saw in castor oil and coconut oil. You drop in night, you put.
I enjoy it.
But the ice cream, because I was thinking we are going to night, then you are spoiling again. More dry, you feel that skin get rashes and other things.
This one is good. Even brown is better than
The blue color. The company is the same.
it's set.
You manufacture it,
Put it
manufacture here.
in.
And sometimes they have a company all over the world, which is. Then I can ask her what she was selling anything and she want to message. Every time she sends a message, if she's coming, send a message. If bigger one is there also, she didn't become of this time. or the small ones take more.
I think this kind.
Yes.
Except yeah, remember, I'm doing essential
Okay.
in the manga.
Yes.
This type.
So this time longer one is there.
This
Step longer one is there. So the master. I will just come.
consider on the give, I'm using the give side.
Okay.
The give side, this side.
In case they have longer ones.
So it is long one, but not this side.
Yes, yes.
This one is over like this. So I agree. But this one I don't know. This person.
I asked her again if there is
Yeah,
bigger
you
cell
can-
being bigger one, I'll just send.
Yeah. Okay.
You can do it not.
Only higher. Only figure.
$30.
That time depends on the I was strong to do it. You say sleep, I see. Sleep, people are here want to please. I should sleep. I didn't do something.
But that time was 1 month, this is just 2 days. The body is changing.
4 days ago, I think. 4 days ago, I said, this month, I didn't feel that. This particular seasonal food, so we take that community, not preservative. We taking seasonal. If you take things like that, if you sample, man, I'm taking sample, taking music. You take mango off season, preservative. It's not nature. It's not advancement. But you can think that they're advanced. Contradicting the nature. Sleep.
Actually, he made a new one, 0 voltage grid. Basically, what do you think? Wherever you're sleeping, they have one sheet that has a copper wire. If you're even sleeping on top wire, that goes like everything, the electrical, so that goes and that's there to the bed. So when you sleep on that sheet, wherever, then you're connected to it and your body becomes to 0 voltage. That solves so many of the health problems. You are telling about it.
Yes, sure. I know. The disease center, they naturally, even if not, they have to go to school.
You put some sheet or directly just like
Oh, math.
that more
I
that.
don't know. Stoma.
Oh, okay. Not the plastic bed.
No, plastic. It's trauma. All natural. All natural. Artificial. It's not everything into it. I need to complain. Fisher doesn't complain. We are the one complaining. Because you don't know who turned the thing. The people turned it. Yeah.
I talked to the Prabhu at your reunions for them. He told he's there for years. The same for years. Reunions calling me for the group. Calling me for the is this is not even a good Christmas. You are list of colors for 10 years in terms of his mother is old and here to come to take care of his mother. He came here and I think here the JVC told him he's staying. He just in fact there is some shop. There is a great why are you working there? Your parents are from first the JVC told you are there like this working a lot. He's not married now. He's not married. Just taking care of parents. And he was very inspired by your message and all. So he used to follow you in clinics and other things. In those days, he used to travel in clinics also and like wherever he used to go, he used to try to. I don't know. Then I told that you were asking for him. You asked for him like that. Yesterday he came, but he came in during the university. Because I think he attended the class and between the class, he has to go to work.
So that's really changed. To travel.
He told, I think you want to tell something to me. You want to tell something to me. But he got
You said today?
that day when he came, he told he wanted to do it, but he already started. So I told him, it's nothing, he just want to.
Hare Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Please accept my obeisances.
Delicious. Thank you. Very being with us. Hare Krishna. See you later.
Hare Krishna, Srila Gurudev, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.